Lucas Carter was the kind of guy who could find humor in just about anything. Bad traffic, spilled coffee, even that one time his microwave exploded while heating a burrito. But when it came to his own love life, the jokes always fell flat. At 27, he was awkwardly charming, with messy brown hair that never stayed in place, glasses that slid down his nose during important conversations, and a habit of cracking one-liners at the absolute worst moments. His friends called it his defense mechanism, but Lucas knew it was just his way of dodging vulnerability. Dating apps had been his battlefield for years, filled with ghostings, awkward small talk, and profiles that promised adventure but delivered disappointment. That all changed when he swiped right on Mira Evans. She was stunning in her profile pics, a 26-year-old graphic designer with sharp wit, long dark hair that framed her shy smile, and eyes that sparkled like she was hiding a secret joke. Their chat started innocently enough. Memes about bad movies, debates over pineapple on pizza. She was pro, he was vehemently against, and shared stories of embarrassing childhood moments. Lucas found himself laughing out loud at her messages, something he hadn't done in ages. Before long, those texts evolved into late-night voice calls, where they talk for hours about everything and nothing. Dreams of traveling the world, favorite books that shaped them, and the little quirks that made life bearable. Lucas couldn't believe his luck. Mira seemed genuine, funny, and interested in him, not just his jokes, but the real him underneath. After 3 weeks of this budding connection, Mira dropped the invitation that made his heart race. Come over. I want to show you something. Lucas, being his usual self, typed back without thinking, as long as it's not your collection of ex-boyfriend's teeth, I'm in. Her reply was a string of laughing emojis, followed by her address. But when she called him later that night to confirm, her laugh over the phone sounded off. It had a strange echo, like it was bouncing off walls in an empty room. Lucas brushed it off as bad reception, or maybe his imagination playing tricks. After all, he was nervous. This was their first in-person date. What could go wrong? Mira lived in an old Victorian house at the end of a silent tree-lined street on the outskirts of town. The neighborhood felt forgotten, with overgrown lawns and flickering streetlights that cast long shadows. As Lucas pulled up in his beat-up sedan, the house loomed ahead, its turreted roof and weathered shutters giving it a gothic charm that bordered on eerie. He checked his reflection in the rearview mirror, adjusting his glasses and practicing a smile that didn't scream, "I'm terrified of messing this up." He walked up the creaky porch steps, heart pounding, and raised his hand to knock. But before his knuckles met the wood, the door swung open by itself with a slow, groaning creak. Lucas froze, then whispered to himself, "Auto doors? Fancy. Or haunted. Definitely haunted." Mira appeared in the doorway a second later, her shy smile lighting up the dim entryway. She wore a simple black dress that hugged her figure, and her hair was loose around her shoulders. "Hey, Lucas, the door's old. It does that sometimes. Come on in." He stepped inside, inhaling the scent of vanilla and lavender from the scattered candles flickering on every surface. The house was cozy in a vintage way. Plush rugs over hardwood floors, antique furniture that looked like it had stories to tell, and soft jazz music playing from an old record player in the corner. Mira led him to the living room, where a bottle of wine and 2 glasses waited on a coffee table. "Make yourself comfortable," she said, gesturing to the couch. Lucas tried to sit gracefully, but immediately sank into a gap between 2 cushions, his legs flailing awkwardly as he half fell through. "Whoa, is this couch trying to eat me?" Mira burst out laughing, covering her mouth with her hand. But the laugh echoed strangely again, like two voices overlapping, one light and genuine, the other deeper, almost mocking. Lucas pulled himself up, chuckling nervously. "Glad I could provide the entertainment. Note to self, test furniture before committing." She shook her head, still smiling. "You're funnier in person. Want some wine?" As they settled in with their drinks, the conversation flowed easily, just like on the phone. Mira talked about her job designing book covers, how she loved turning words into visuals that captured the essence of a story.
Lucas shared his gig as a freelance copywriter, admitting he spent more time procrastinating with bad puns than actually writing. They bonded over shared taste in horror movies like The Shining, while Lucas preferred comedic twists like Shaun of the Dead. But as the evening progressed, the house seemed to shift. Doors in distant rooms creaked open and shut on their own. The lights flickered subtly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. At one point, during a lull in conversation, Lucas swore he heard a faint whisper from behind a nearby wall. "Don't trust her." He jumped, spilling a drop of wine on his shirt. "Did you hear that?" Mira tilted her head, her expression innocent. "Hear what?" "Nothing, probably just the wind, or the house whispering renovation ideas. Hey, repaint me in blood red." He forced a laugh, but it came out shaky. She giggled in response, but there it was again, that echoing second laugh, like an invisible companion joining in. Lucas glanced around the room, unease creeping in. The house felt alive, watching them. But Mira was so captivating, her eyes locking onto his with genuine interest, that he pushed the weirdness aside. She was beautiful, he was smitten, end of discussion. They moved to the dining room for dessert, a homemade chocolate cake Mira had baked. As they ate, a loud thump echoed from upstairs, shaking the chandelier above them. Lucas paused, Ferk midway to his mouth. "Okay, that was definitely not the wind. Is your house haunted? Like, full-on poltergeist situation?" Mira set her fork down, her smile fading slightly. "No, it's just old, settling floors. These Victorians have their mind of their own." Another thump followed, louder this time, as if something heavy was dragging across the floor above. Then a third, even closer, like footsteps descending the stairs. Lucas stood up instinctively. "Should we check it out? I mean, I'm no Ghostbuster, but I can swing a flashlight like a pro." Mira grabbed his hand, her grip surprisingly tight. "Please don't go upstairs," she whispered, her voice laced with urgency. "Why not?" He searched her face, noting the flicker of fear in her eyes. "Because the closet up there opens by itself sometimes, and when it does, something inside laughs." Lucas blinked, then forced a grin. "Laughs like evil clown laughs or just awkward chuckle? Okay, sounds fun. Let's not do that. Dessert it is." But as they tried to resume eating, the laughter started faintly from upstairs. It wasn't Mira's light, melodic one. This was guttural, echoing, building in intensity like a storm approaching. Lucas' skin prickled. He couldn't ignore it anymore. Mira excused herself to make more tea, leaving Lucas alone in the dining room. His eyes wandered to a tall, ornate mirror hanging on the far wall, its frame gilded and antique. Curiosity drew him closer. He stared at his reflection, disheveled hair, wide eyes, and everything seemed normal at first. Then he froze. Behind his reflection, Mira stood smiling, even though she wasn't in the room. Her image was clear, her shy smile twisted into something sinister. Lucas spun around. The room was empty. Heart hammering, he turned back to the mirror. Now the reflected Mira leaned in closer, her lips moving silently at first, then whispering audibly, "She's not alone inside." The words sent a chill down his spine. What did that mean? He backed away as Mira returned with steaming mugs of tea, her real smile warm and inviting. Lucas stared at her, trying to steady his voice. "Mira, do you sometimes hear two laughs? Like an echo when you laugh?" She stopped dead, the color draining from her face. "You hear it too?" He nodded slowly. Mira set the mugs down with trembling hands and sank into a chair. "Lucas, I haven't laughed, really laughed, in 3 years." He blinked, confused. "What?" "But I've heard you laugh tonight, multiple times." "That echo? It's not me," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's something that attached itself to me when I was a kid. I was playing in an old abandoned house with friends, and we found this creepy doll in the attic. I took it home as a joke, but ever since this entity, this thing, laughs whenever I feel true happiness, it feeds on it, mocks it. He swallowed hard, piecing it together. Why didn't you tell me? Her eyes met his, vulnerable and soft. Because it only manifests when someone I really like is near. It's like a jealous shadow. And Lucas, I like you. A lot. The admission hung in the air, a romantic moment utterly ruined by the implication of a literal demon laugher. Lucas felt a rush of emotions, flattery, fear, and a bizarre urge to laugh at the absurdity. Before he could respond, all the lights in the house shut off with a collective flicker, plunging them into darkness. Candles guttered out one by one, as if an invisible breath extinguished them. A voice echoed through the blackness, booming and manic. La ha 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 ha. Mira grabbed his arm. We have to run, now. They bolted toward the front door, but it slammed shut with a thunderous bang, locking them in. Lucas rattled the knob frantically. This is not how first dates are supposed to go. Where's the rom-com scriptwriter? Mira shouted over the growing laughter. Shut up and help me find a candle. There's matches in the kitchen drawer. They fumbled through the dark house, the laughter shifting around them, left wall, right ceiling, behind them, above like rain on the roof. It was disorienting, a surround sound nightmare. Lucas's hand brushed something furry. He yelped, thinking it was the demon, but it was just Mira's cat, Whiskers, who hissed and scratched his arm before darting away. In the chaos, Lucas grabbed a random object from a shelf, a heavy brass candlestick, and hurled it toward the source of a particularly loud cackle. Something screamed in pain. Oh, crap! Did I just hit the demon? Lucas exclaimed, half triumphant, half terrified. Mira's voice cut through. That was my cat! Whiskers! No! The cat yowled again, and the demon's laughter intensified, now mixed with mocking meows. The house seemed to come alive. Furniture shifted, doors banged, and cold drafts whipped around them like invisible hands. They navigated a frantic chase through the rooms, dodging flying books in the study, slipping on rugs that pulled themselves out from underfoot, and climbing over a barricade of toppled chairs in the hallway. Mira explained breathlessly as they ran, the entity, it thrives on fear now that we're fighting it, but if we can get out, it might lose its hold. Finally, they reached the front door again, after what felt like an eternity of terror comedy mishaps. But as Mira twisted the knob, the demon's whisper slithered through the air. She is mine, forever. Lucas whirled around, facing the inky darkness of the house. Anger surged through him. Anger at this thing ruining what could have been a perfect night, at it tormenting the girl he was falling for. Back off, he yelled into the void. I like her too, okay? She's not yours. She's amazing and funny and deserves real happiness without your creepy giggles. Silence fell like a blanket. The laughter stopped abruptly, as if cut off mid-breath. Mira turned to him, eyes wide in the faint moonlight seeping through a window. You like me? Really? Lucas gasped for breath, adrenaline still pumping. Yes, obviously. This is the worst love confession ever, screaming at a demon in the dark, but yes, I like you, Mira, more than I thought possible after 3 weeks. The door creaked open on its own, this time gently, inviting them out. The laughter faded into nothingness, and the house fell still. They stumbled outside into the cool night air, the silent street welcoming them like a sanctuary. Whiskers followed, meowing indignantly but unharmed. In the days that followed, the demon never returned. Mira explained more about her childhood encounter, how she tried exorcisms and therapists, but nothing worked until Lucas's bold confession seemed to banish it for good. Maybe it was the genuine emotion, or perhaps the absurdity of the moment. Love conquering fear in the most ridiculous way. Mira and Lucas kept dating, their bond stronger for the shared ordeal. They moved their hangouts to neutral ground, cafes, parks, his apartment, anywhere but that house. Lucas sold the place eventually, joking it was demon-free certified to the buyers. They told friends and family they fell in love on a simple romantic evening, sharing wine and stories. What they never mentioned was the full truth. Their love story ignited amid a ghostly Victorian house, a jealous, laughing demon, a man-eating couch, a traumatized cat named Whiskers, flickering mirrors with cryptic warnings, and Lucas's frantic confessions shouted into the shadows. But somehow, against all odds, it worked. Love, comedy, and horror had collided in the perfect chaotic balance, forging a connection that neither could have imagined. And every time Mira laughed now, her real, unechoed laugh, Lucas knew it was all worth it.